From the mountains of Rocky, Austin Hubbard. What's going on?
How's it going, man?
Good, good, good. Let's start off, man. I know the winters are pretty rough up there in Denver. How was the last winter? Was it pretty rough?
Uh, I'm from the Midwest. The Midwest winters are actually a lot more harsh than the winters here. I prefer these winters. Normally, it's in like the 40s, 50s every day, sometimes 60s, 70s. In the Midwest, it stays pretty freezing cold the whole time. So I'll take this.
For like training wise, right? Having the temperature being so low, is that a benefit? After training.
Uh, I don't think I've never really thought about that.
Mhm.
I don't think it's probably much of a difference. Like I don't probably doesn't matter too much. If anything, maybe a like advantage because you can get a cold or something. I don't know. Honestly, I've never put much thought into that though.
With everything that's been going on the last couple months for yourself, the bright point was you got your first UFC victory.
Yeah.
Going into that fight in Vancouver, was there a lot of pressure since you were coming off a loss in your debut?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a lot of pressure, coming off a loss, any loss, not just like a debut UFC. Well, I guess that adds a little bit more to it for sure. But yeah, and anytime you're coming off a loss, I feel a lot of pressure to go out and perform. I've never lost two in a row, and I never want to. So yeah, there's all definitely a little extra push that whole camp because definitely is not trying to go 0-2.
At the end of the day, it's all about wins and losses. You
Yeah,
can go out there and put on a bloody war, but if you lose, that kind of doesn't matter, in the eyes of a lot of the matchmakers and the
yeah.
people that are in charge. So when you took on that fight, did you feel like, okay, I need a game plan I'm gonna win this fight instead of more of taking the risk?
No, not necessarily. I just that fight, I was just trying to be myself. I felt like I didn't really necessarily have to like come up with like a super specific game plan. I felt that I was better pretty much everywhere it would have went. So, um, I just wanted to go out there and leave it all out and perform well. That was mostly my goal in that one, and of course, win the fight.
I was watching the post fight interviews that you did,
Yeah,
and one of the reporters was like, "Hey, is your elbow okay?" But little did they know something was going on in your leg right the whole time.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you feel it during the post fight interviews, like something like your leg hurting at least a little bit?
Well, yeah. I mean, I got kicked. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but anywhere from probably 6 to 10 times, vary in there. And so, I mean, it's a leg kick. Someone's kicking your leg as hard as they can. It's not gonna feel good. I've had fights where I've been kicked literally like triple the amount of that. I just was like, oh, it's sore. No leg kick feels good. And then as the night went on, it just kept swelling and getting bigger and bigger and like more and more painful till like the car got over around I think it was 9 or 10 o'clock in Vancouver time, and I was supposed to go out, after party, and I was like, man, I don't think I can. My leg hurts so bad. I'm just gonna go up to my room and ice it and elevate it, and I was actually down in the lobby of the hotel because after my fight we made our way back to the hotel. I was shower and get ready, and we were watching the rest of the card on in the hotel lobby. And like I said, I was decided I didn't want to go back downtown and make that little journey. So my coaches helped me up to the elevator, and we started going up, and I passed out. And yeah, all I remember is waking up, and my coaches were just like looking over me. I was like, "What just happened?" And they're like, "You passed out. Just lay still. It's okay." I'm like, "All right." Like, and so I had to go to the hospital. And, I went to the hospital thinking, oh, I'm just going to get some pain medicine. It's just swollen. And, like, I didn't think I mean, I thought it was really weird. I passed out. I've never done that before. But I wasn't thinking too much into it. I was like, oh, I'm good. And, they did the pressure test and everything on my leg. And they're like, we need to rush you into surgery. I was like, what? For what? they're like your pressure in your leg is cutting off all the circulation. Like you're getting no blood flow to your muscles and nerves and everything. If we don't relieve the pressure, you could lose your leg. And I'm like, are you serious? Like I couldn't believe it. Which it's called compartment syndrome is what I had. And I went into surgery, and that first surgery, they actually told me that my muscle was already turning gray and was non-responsive. So it was definitely a good decision to go into that surgery because everyone kept trying to get me to go to the hospital, but I was like, nah, I don't need to go. It's just a leg kick. That's sore. It's fine. And I was gonna go up to my room and relax. And if I wouldn't have passed out, it is very likely that I would not have my leg today because I would have went to bed, woke up the next morning, and I wouldn't have been able to move my leg. So, it was like fortunate that I did pass out, and luckily I didn't like hurt my head or anything falling because my coaches caught me. But yeah, it was a real crazy situation, and apparently I'm the only UFC fighter in UFC history to have that surgery in the compartment syndrome and everything. So that was even more surprising. So it's just a crazy night. It's not the way I was expecting to spend my, celebrating my first UFC win.
Definitely, that is a wild statistic that there's
Yeah.
guys that have been stopped by leg kicks and
Yeah.
they go home and walk home and they're fine. And
Yeah.
you're lucky that you did pass out because, like you said, some of your coaches and your teammates probably would have went to the after
Yeah.
party and you would have been
Yeah.
in your hotel room. That would have been a terrible situation, but
Yeah.
everything worked out for you, man. You got the surgery. You stayed
Yeah.
in the hospital. Being in the hospital must have been just shitty, right? Like
Man, it was
that's probably
not
the longest
fun.
stay
Well,
for
I
you.
was actually there for a whole week after my fight. I ended up having 3 surgeries on my leg. I had what's called a wound vac. So I have a scar basically from my knee to my hip, and they cut open my entire thigh. And I had a wound vac on that whole area. So basically that is just like a sponge that sucks out all the blood and like inflammation and all that and swelling to help, relieve all that pressure. And I was in the hospital for a week, and man, that was not a fun process. It was kind of a nightmare. There's more into that. Like the nurses and stuff would like not listen to me. Like I was like telling them like the wound vac needed to be like empty like the first few days, like every like other hour. Like it was filling up really fast, and they wouldn't do it. Like no one listened. Hardly anyone spoke English. Like, and I swear they had me on like the psych ward floor the first few days I was in there. And like there's like, not to be like mean or anything, but there's like crazy people. I shared a room with 4 people separated by a sheet. And it was not a fun experience. And like I said, they weren't listening. The wound like backed up, which then in turn caused my like the bandage and everything to fill with blood. And then it just like burst because all the like pressure of the blood filling up in there. And then like the blood was just like soaking my bed. Like it was all over me. And then I started passing out because I was just rapidly losing blood. Like, and like my entire leg was just gushing out blood. And it was kind of a nightmare, but I made it through it. So it's all good now.
Wow, man, that is scary. Very scary.
Yeah.
Even after getting the surgeries and stuff, that it was
Yeah.
they didn't take care of you, but hey, you're living now, you're doing your
Yeah.
thing, you're back in action.
Yeah.
Was there a protocol? I heard some other interviews that you did and you said that your doctors cleared you, but then the UFC, they had doctors too. Did you have to get it cleared by them also?
I'd never seen a UFC doctor, but basically they weren't going to let me fight within 6 months of that injury. I remember going to my teammate's fight, Corey Sandhagen, when he was fighting in Anaheim, and one of the UFC like personnel ladies, she was like in Vancouver with me, and she was like, "Oh, you're doing so, like, it's so good to see you're doing well and everything." And the UFC doctor was there, and she's like, "Oh yeah, he's already training and stuff." Like really not knowing. And he like kind of chewed me out. He's like, "You're not supposed to be training yet," like, and all this other stuff. And yeah, I'm not sure how long after the fight that was, but like it was. I don't know. I honestly was trying to fight in like January in that range, and they just want to book me until the 6 months. So fight March 7th. So that worked too. Probably worked out for the best, but yeah, it was kind of a crazy situation because like I finished physical therapy and everything within a month. So just because I was healing fast and like I was fine, I full out was back into training within 2 months of my last surgery, like kicking everything, like full out sparring. And yeah, I haven't had any issues, and everyone's like, I can't believe it. I don't know. Maybe I just healed fast, or it wasn't as bad as it seemed. I don't know, but I mean, I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Definitely, you got that Wolverine gene probably
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. I've always been a pretty quick healer, I suppose.
Did your coaches have to tell you like, Austin, come on, man, like let's slowly
Yeah,
get back into it. You
yeah,
don't want to,
yeah,
get too crazy,
yes,
right?
they did. And actually, at one point, my striking coach, he's like, you can't wear like shin guards. You're not throwing kicks like for like a while. And I'm like, it's fine, I can do it. And then finally, he let me just start doing it because he was sick of telling me no. Um, and luckily, I never had any issues with it, like getting hit or anything. Never swelled back up or anything like that, or any like functional issues. So yeah, it worked out.
Phenomenal, man. Now you lined up UFC 248, Marco Madsen, Olympic
Yeah,
medalist.
yeah,
It's a good matchup, I think. Olympic
yeah,
medalist is Olympic medalist, man. This is not wrestling. This is
yeah,
MMA.
exactly.
Looking at his debut, his first fight in the UFC. What are your thoughts on the performance he had?
I mean, he had a first round finish. It was a good performance. No doubt, he's a tough person. I mean, you don't get a silver medal in the Olympics and not be tough as hell. You know what I mean? But like you said, this is not a wrestling match. This is MMA. I feel like I present more problems than most of his other opponents, and I can do more things than most of his other opponents. So I think it's gonna be a good matchup. I'm feeling good in it. I'm very confident in our game planning and how camp's gone and weight cuts coming great. And I'm ready to go out there. I love being the underdog. I feel like I always do better when I'm the underdog. I faced, I think, 3 or 4 undefeated people, right, like opponents before this fight, and I'm undefeated against undefeated
Yeah.
fighters. So, I really like taking that first zero away from them. So yeah, I'm excited for the matchup for sure.
Yeah, it's they'll remember you forever.
Yeah, yeah,
that's
you definitely
that's
will.
one thing unique about that situation is you beat them for their first loss. They'll remember
Yeah,
you forever, and but you won't remember them forever. You'll remember them, but it's not like like they will remember
yeah,
you. So it's always
yeah,
cool. The Greco-Roman. I wanted to go back to that is because he's the Greco-Roman style. You come from more of like the folk style wrestling.
yeah.
What are the differences? What are the key differences, do you think, for
It's
MMA?
it's it's a big difference. I mean, as far as how you take someone down is a completely different style for the most part. Greco is obviously a lot of clinch work and things like that, trips and such. And I mean, folk style is a lot of like shots, setting up shots from distance and things like that, and you can't even touch people's legs in Greco. So, I mean, it's definitely a different aspect, a different challenge, one set to the other. I mean, maybe I have a biased opinion because I come from a folk style background. I mean, I feel like it's more effective, opposed to a Greco style. But I mean, like I said, I may be biased on that. I feel like being able to take people down with an effective shot more so from like closing the distance and like shooting in opposed to like having to get in a clinch or something is safer than in it for MMA than opposed to, like I said, the clinch or something. But I guess we'll find out
Yeah.
when the fight happens.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the track record for folk style wrestlers like John Jones or
Yeah.
DC, he's also folk style, right? Cejudo,
Yeah.
those guys, they're
Yeah.
all, look at where they're at. It's
Yeah.
there's no denying, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess this training camp has been much different than any other training camp, probably, right? Because of the leg and slowly getting
Um,
back into it, and
I
and
mean,
maybe it might have benefited you more, right?
yeah, like I said, I've been basically in camp for probably damn near three or months or so now at this point. Because I mean, I started training once I was able to start training, which was about 2 months or so after the injury, and I basically haven't really stopped since because I was trying to get a fight, and so I've been by this point, like I don't even think about my leg. Like even if it gets hit, like I don't. It's just my leg. You know what I mean? It's just the same as the other one besides the scar. So, as far as camp goes, it's been pretty much the same. Like I haven't had to like tailor anything differently just for my leg. I mean, I definitely realized the mistakes I was making in my last fight, which caused uh, had big play into what happened to my leg, and I mean, I closed those holes as far as that goes. So, I don't ever see it being, an issue going forward.
Sometimes when you come off injury to a certain part of your body, that part of your body becomes stronger, and then you start to use that part of your body more in a fight.
Yeah.
You never know, that the head kick might be there or the
Yeah.
knee with that leg. You never know what can happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wildest things happen in an MMA fight.
Yeah, definitely do.
All right, now, what do you expect? In this fight, do you think like he's used to getting early finishes? So do you
Yeah.
think like it's gonna be a grinding, hard clinch wrestling, a
Yeah.
lot of scrambles? Do you think that's what type of fight you're gonna be in?
I do. He always, like you said, he comes out really hard. He comes and he's trying to finish you in the first. And he's usually kind of rushing in, trying to get that clinch, and body work type of takedown. So I do think this like will be a really big like factor in like scrambling and getting out of that type of situation, which will be like a grueling type of fight. So he throws hard, but I do feel like I have the advantage on my feet, and I mean I think I'm gonna do well on my feet. So yeah, it'll be a hard first round for sure, and then hopefully start taking over from there.
Definitely. Now, a couple things I wanted to pick your brain about is the upcoming title fight, the lightweight title fight. Since you are a lightweight, UFC 249, Khabib versus Ferguson. What is your breakdown of that? Do you feel like percentage wise, what do you see it as? Who winning?
I think Khabib wins, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as it has been for him. Tony presents a lot of challenges that most fighters don't present. He strikes from everywhere. He doesn't stop at all. Like he's just really durable and really nonstop. Like, but so is Khabib. So like it'll be a really action packed fight, and I'm really interested to watch it. I do think Khabib will edge it out though for sure. I think he has the better grappling and control, but Tony's like dangerous off his back, so it's kind of like what will happen. So we'll see.
In a lot of people's eyes, Justin Gaethje, your training partner, is the next guy in line after this fight,
Yeah.
no matter who wins. As a fan, who do you think is the better matchup, the most exciting matchup, the fun fight between the two?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both would be a lot of fun, but yeah, Tony probably would be a lot of fun to watch just because I mean he's like doesn't stop and always throwing elbows and like crazy shit, and so yeah, I think you're probably right on that.
All right, Austin. Thank you so much, man. March 7th, UFC 248, Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. Good luck on the fight. Good luck on,
Thank you.
everything that's going on in your life. And we will speak soon, man.
Yeah, take care, man.